Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Parks from Briar. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Excited to talk to you about your program. So, we're talking here May 9th. The kids may already be gone at this point from school. I don't know, but as you're wrapping up the school year, how is the recruiting going? Have you wrapped up the recruiting class? Is it something you're still working on? What's your calendar time look like for that?
Yeah, it's funny because I guess you never stop recruiting, right? We have who we need at the moment, but we're never gonna say no to a good player who comes in where who emails us or asks about us. But you also never know who's gonna leave. In the middle of the summer, they might miss home too much to come back, or whatever it is. A lot of our players are so far away from home that but yeah, we are. I'm looking. I'm looking up at my board because that's where all my recruiting is, right? But yeah, we're pretty much set for 2024 going into the season. I like to be wrapped up sooner rather than later.
Sure. Well, and we're in an interesting year, I would say, for a few reasons, right? You've got the last COVID year, folks
Mhm.
kind of shaken out, the transfer portals just going
Yeah.
gangbusters, and then the delay in FAFSA has
Mhm.
shifted things a little bit later. So have those changes or I don't want to call them oddities because who knows, they may be, more regular than not these days. Um, have they changed your timelines and the way that you go about things? And again, looking at your roster, there's some folks from other countries. Does it change how you recruit internationally? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's been really funny actually this year. We actually haven't got very many Americans at all. It's been, well, mostly international kids, but the FAFSA thing has been really big for us. Our school is a private institution, so it is a little bit more expensive. And I think a lot of players want to look at that FAFSA before they make a decision. So I don't know how other schools, are doing it, but yeah, it has kind of shifted how we have worked to get the players that we need this year, and it did end up being international because they don't get those. The transfer portal is wild. We haven't had much luck. Obviously, we can't really get into it well at all, but but you just hear from coaches and you use Twitter and things like that. But with the transfer rules changing, it's hard to get any kids down a level anyway. So yeah, it's been an interesting year. For a lot of reasons, like you said, but we're moving along and we've got some good players coming in and we're pretty happy.
Well, good. Well, when even though you're lower on your domestic recruiting than
Mm.
normal, what are some of the tournaments, some of the places you like to go to look at players and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we, each year kind of changes. And it just depends. A lot of tournaments sometimes are kind of in November as well, which is really hard because you don't know if you're going to make playoffs or, but I always like to go out to Crossfire in Washington. I used to coach in Washington, so the talent level there is like really untapped. Um, so a lot of GA events and a lot of Surf Cup in California and some Las Vegas tournaments as well. Where where we're situated, it's kind of easy to get out all, and then of course we do the local ones around here. But yeah, we just kind of go all over, and then tune into a lot of live streams for a lot of like international ID camps.
Okay. Well, are you was mentioning camps? Do you guys do ID camps? Do you or your staff work other camps? Are camps kind of an important part of your recruiting process?
Yeah, so for us, like specifically, we actually just got a new turf field. It was in October, so we spent kind of half the season on a different turf field, and then it came in. So we actually haven't been able to do camps on our own because you have to protect the grass. We only have that space. But now we're gonna, do our pilot ID camp in the summer. the men's team is doing one too, so it's going to be a really good couple of weeks. But yeah, whenever we go to a tournament, we do actually sign up to go and work those ID camps as well. And in the past, I've typically gone to the CSC camps as well, because they garner a lot of players there as well. But yeah, mostly for us, ID camps are right, we're going to go to the showcase and that's great. But then we also make a relationship with a few of the kids that we like anyway. So then they really do remember and notice you more and get a sense of how you coach without just being like, hey, I liked how you play. Please come play for us, so.
Right. Well, whether it's at an ID camp, a showcase, a live stream event that you're watching, whatever the case may be, what is it that kind of makes up the hierarchy of things that you're looking for in a player, whether that's on the field attributes or off the field stuff?
Yeah, so we're pretty specific. Our team, we're pretty highly technical. We do a lot of training sessions, 1-2 touch. That's kind of like a non-negotiable for us. While that can be taught, we do look, when we see a player and we're like, okay, they're already doing this, right? Then that's kind of like a check off the list. And then we kind of look at, okay, what do they do perhaps when they lose the ball or their team loses the ball? Like, are they good enough to be, or fit enough maybe to be running back to recovering? We typically play a 3-5-2. So for us, it requires, quite a lot of fitness, quite a lot of technical ability. So those are the two kind of, non-negotiable things that we have. But other than that, we're pretty, I really want to make sure that we're bringing really good people into our program. That the way that they speak to their teammates on the field, the way that they speak to their coaches, the way that they react, when somebody else scores a goal and maybe they're the best striker on the field, like those are things that we're looking to as well. Like we really want to protect what we're trying to build here. And, look, I want to win. That everybody does, right? But I'll also, pick a kid who might have a really much better attitude for just a little less skill that can be taught. So those are kind of some big things we look for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. I'm sure there's folks out there maybe not familiar with
Yeah.
Briar Cliff out there in Iowa. What are some of the things that you love about the school that you found to be extra special? Maybe some things we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I really like, and you don't see this very often, sometimes at smaller schools, but we're actually above 80% of the student body is student athletes. So that is a really, really high number. I think the average is like 64. Don't quote me, actually, that fact check that one. But yeah, and that means for us is like, okay, we talk about balance of school, of academics, and it's actually really easy to do that. So a lot of less stress on our players. Our professors all know the training times. It's usually 3:15 right after classes, right? They are all aware of how many kids are leaving their classes to go for an away game or, a home game or whatever it is. So it's actually, that is one of the coolest things about the school. That and like you walk around the school and you're going to know everybody, like, because they are athletes as well and they're going through the same thing. So I think sometimes like college soccer or college athletics can be pretty isolating at a big school or whatever it is. But, you're always going to know somebody here. Like I'm always going to know somebody walking, down to the coffee shop on campus or across campus to have a meeting or whatever. Like our players are gonna have the same. Like they'll never sit alone, and that is something that I think goes really unnoticed from the website. And for us, like I think, as a soccer team, we do create, a lot of long-lasting relationships with different countries. That was my favorite thing about college soccer when I played. Like my best friends from England and the US, like, I've been there for Christmas and things like that. But, for us, like we pair kids, we pair a Swedish kid with a US kid or, an English with a German kid or whatever it is. And they end up being able to like go to their houses in summer break and whatever. And you don't see that. Like you just see a bunch of like different cities and different, but you don't think about those friendships that you might make past, college soccer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in terms of, college, especially for international students, making the transition into college and college athletics can be tough, and balancing the demands of of the classroom as well as the soccer
Right.
field. So how do your student athletes make sure that they achieve that balance, and what support systems does the school offer to help them be successful on both fronts?
Yeah. So I make everybody do study hall. Mostly I think it's so like level for everybody. You're not competing, you're all just there, being quiet. It's a really good reminder that we're all kind of in this together. But our school has like on campus, like full campus study hall hours that you can just go in and do, and it's not in the library as well, so it's kind of in a different area than just going into the library. We also have like peer tutors, and they come into our school's study halls. So like we have a soccer specific study hall time, and some peer tutors would come in and help us at that time for whoever needed it, for English, math, science, whatever it is. And then for us as well, balancing academics, like you said, it's really challenging. Now we're balancing social life and being an athlete and not having very much time, and then going to bed at 10 and waking up at 7, or going to bed at 1, whatever they do these days, right? But we actually have an on campus nurse who's wonderful. So any little sickness or whatever, but she's also great to talk to as well. And then we also have a mental health counselor on campus who does presentations for our team. Our team always meets them. We've had a fair few players go in and see her. Just nothing formal, just that basically, it's more a lot of freshmen who go in and do that when they are adjusting to not being at home, not having somebody cook for them, not away from everybody that they've ever known for a long time. And those are some of the resources that we really do heavily lean on. For us, like I said, our professors are great, and they're well aware of how we're going to miss. But we have a rule that our kids have to do the assignments early. They have to communicate with their professors. They don't get to come on game days if they don't communicate that they're going to be going to their professors. So we make sure that there's like a lot of lines, so it really can't be missed.
Yeah, I love that. I wish that was happening to my daughter in high school sometimes, the coaches keeping them accountable is definitely key. Well, let's
Yeah.
take a step back. Let's rewind back to say October.
Mhm.
Um, you're in the heart of that conference season. Kind of walk me through what a typical week's going to look like for a player in terms of, when are classes, meals, practice times, game cadence, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we hear a lot of our players work either on campus, off campus. So, we have a calendar that we give them. We like to try and keep it very uniform for them. But mostly, we play Wednesday, Saturday. Sometimes you have a bye, but not usually. So Mondays is like our really big day. But they'll lift in the mornings at 7 a.m. before classes. Then they'll kind of go to class anywhere between like 8 and 2:30, somewhere in there. I'm sure they nap in the middle of the day. Always get their food, whatever it is. A lot of them like to go straight to breakfast after our lifting, which is great. But then what we do is we do a lot of film, whether it's on our own, in groups, or like as a big group. So on Mondays is kind of our film and our biggest training day. So we do a lot of those like bigger sided drills, a lot of kind of technical stuff, a lot of running in there to kind of build us up from there. Tuesdays is pre-game day, so it's really easy. But they go through their classes again. And then what we do here is we train for about an hour, and then we'll go into the classroom. We'll do a scouting report. So what we're going to do if we're down a goal, up a goal, the corners, the tactics of the other team, some key players to look for. We find that it's easier than just giving them a sheet of paper in the locker room and they're like, oh, what in the world are you doing to me? They don't read it anyway, but at least we know we can see them paying attention. And mostly, you hear them on the field going, oh, that's her. And you're like, okay, calm it down a little bit. But, at least they're then thinking about it. Wednesdays are, obviously game days are our favorite, but what we like to do as a team is we go on a team walk, and now that our field is done, we'll get everybody on the field. They'll walk around for about 15 minutes, kind of visualizing what they want out of the day. Some kids do it like scoring a goal or whatever. Some are like, I just want to have a really good day, and then we eat as a team. They go up to the locker room, and then it's full on focus for game day. Thursday is the same as Monday, Friday the same as Tuesday, Saturday the same as Wednesday. So yeah, we try and keep it really uniform. But I do like that we give them, the film and the scouting report, and we go on team walks. Those things are really, really important to us as a program, and we think, it's not just going to training and playing a game. It's, all the other things they get to do as a team too.
Yeah, great. Well, in terms of the team, is there a roster size that you find is ideal that you're trying to hit each year?
Yeah, well, the school gives us a roster size, so it's around 36. Well, when I came in March of last year, I only had 10 players, which is wild. So we've been kind of, inching back up towards that. I think the sweet spot is for us is really anywhere between 32 and 34. So yeah, we do have a reserve team. But we use it mostly for injuries, or maybe kids who are trying to get some fitness in, or like they're having a good day in training, but they're not necessarily having good days on the field. So we're like, okay, well, we'll see what they can do. But yeah, 32 to 34 is really a good number for us. So
Okay. Well, besides, player numbers on a roster, there's staff numbers on a roster. So besides
Mhm.
yourself, what other staff do you have? What other support staff maybe are within the athletic department that help out with the team?
Yeah, we have two GAs. One is just well, I don't want to say regular GA, but and the other one is a goalkeeper coach. We actually shared last year a goalkeeper GA with the men's team, and this year we've got our own, which is going to be so much better. While the GA we had before was fantastic, doing a lot of stuff, I'm sure it was a lot of burnout. Two teams is hard. So yeah, we have that, and our current GA, he's been here for a year. He's really, really good. He does a lot of recruiting for us. He's actively taking a role, in the training plan and having relationships with players, and the new GA that we'll have is going to be, well, we think he's going to be really, really good, but, obviously you don't know. But yeah, he seems to fit into our process, knows the conference. So we're really lucky in that sense to have while GAs are 20 hours a week and whatever it is, and we're really lucky to have two that actively want to learn a lot and want to do a lot of hours and put in the work to be better coaches. So
Okay. Well, what about you? How would you describe kind of your style of coaching and the style of play that you're looking to implement there?
yeah, I can be pretty laid back off the field. I think relationships are big to me. I love when players come into the office. I have a couch in here. A lot of players just come in, sit, talk about their lives, do some homework in here, whatever they want to do. But I can also get pretty intense on the field as well, in the sense that, when I think we're not working hard enough or anything, like I'm gonna tell them, I just don't think there's any shying away from, okay, we might, if we're playing bad because we're just not on it today, that's one thing. But if we're like not running off the balls and we're, not challenging in the air, like to me, that's like just not wanting to be there. So that's when I get, kind of intense. But so I'm trying to find like this really good balance between, obviously I care so much about these players and want nothing more than them to have a good experience. But I think a good experience is also maybe, develop them into a better player as well. Not just a better person, but both of those things. And that doesn't happen unless you give them a little push in the right direction every so often.
Yeah.
So yeah, and for us that leads into it. Like if I'm intense on the field, then obviously our drills are going to be intense. That means we play in 1-2 touch. We're not panicked, but we're fast on the ball, and we've added some pieces that are going to really help us next year in getting to where we want to be.
Okay. Well, in terms of the season, you got the fall, but then you also got the spring, the quote unquote off season. That's never an off season. So what does your spring kind of look like in terms of what the players are doing and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's funny, we joke about this a lot. Like honestly, sometimes the spring is harder. Okay, you're doing in the fall, but it's like, you're going at the same time. All the time, you're doing the same things. When you hit the spring, the weather sometimes is so up and down that you don't know if you're going to be inside, outside, how long you'll have with the thunderstorms, with the rain sometimes. Like you just don't know. Iowa, it has its 4 seasons, and that's For sure. Like, but so you have to really manage that. But for us, we train 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We lift 3 times a week too. We do a little bit more study hall. And then the NAIA gets 3 dates of competition. But we play 6 games. So we play 2 teams on to get the maximum amount, of playing time as well. Some players end up playing 120 minutes. All players at least play 65, 70. So we really like that. And we tend to play teams that are, in a higher division per se than us. Like we played a couple D2 teams, we did play a local JUCO team. We played a few NAI teams, but typically teams who, are going to challenge us, and we're allowed to make some mistakes there so we can learn. But it was a really good spring for us, actually. We went into a new formation that we hadn't done previously because we didn't have the personnel for it last year or in the fall. But yeah, we came out pretty well in the end. So
Okay. Well, Coach, you've been super generous with your time, told us a lot about the school, but I got one last question
Mhm.
for you. If you could break it down and just give me one piece of advice you think is relevant to anybody going through this college recruiting process, what would you want them to know?
I think that don't maybe make assumptions about schools or coaches or records or anything like that. There's always different things that are happening within that level, within that conference, whatever it is. For me, I necessarily, didn't have maybe a good experience overall in college soccer before I became a coach. There were really good times as well. Like, don't get me wrong. But yeah, and that to me was something that I really try to give forth in our program is, okay, find a coach who you do like, and find players who you do want to be with, and find a school that if you did get injured and you had to spend 6 months on the sideline, that you still were actually okay with the people that you're around. And I think that means a lot more to a lot more kids than, all right, I'm just going to this school because they've won 18 games this season, but then you find you're sitting on the bench, or maybe the coach doesn't really treat you like you're part of the team, or whatever it is. Just find the space that you really actually think about, what you actually really care about or want in a team, and go and find that without worrying about what the divisions are, or what's happening, or whatever it is, right? So that's the piece of advice. Plenty of people can play at higher levels, right? Plenty of people go NAIA and could probably play D2 and go D2, but could play D1. But find that fit that you truly do like to have, and you can look back at 4 years or 2 years and go, wow, like, how can I find that in a workplace? Because that's what we're trying to teach our kids here, is find that place. And like, if it's not us for recruits, fine, right? We think we're a good program and we're a good place to be and things like that, but we also understand, that our fit is not for everybody. But we do truly hope that everybody does have a good experience in college soccer and does walk away going, wow, I have best friends for life. I had a really good time. I played a lot of minutes. I got better, those sort of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it, Coach. Couldn't agree more. Well, I really appreciate you jumping on. Wish you the best of luck finishing up the class and getting ready for next season. And we'll take a look and see how you guys do. And good luck on that new turf field.
Thank you. We're pretty excited about it. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country, along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table. and hopefully we will see you there.